All right, well, welcome everybody. We got a room, I don't want to say a room full, but a room filling up with people, and welcome. We always love the in-person part, but as we continue to grow and be in other states and things like that, we get a lot of vendors and members that are outside the area. So we're doing most everything we're doing as far as these orientations, workshops, trainings like that, dual, live and virtual. But the virtual people don't get the goodies, they don't get the food. So if you have a chance, come here. All right. Oh, wait, I guess I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Jeff Drury, Senior Director here at Choice Partners. I know some of you guys I've already talked to are brand new, have never been with Choice Partners before, going all the way to our buddy Joe, who so I've been selling paper on the Choice Partners contract since the 80s. So we've got a wide spectrum. It's a review for some of you folks, and it's a brand new event for others. We try and keep it as basic and elementary as we can to cover folks with questions, just wanting to know what we're about. And hopefully it serves as a refresher for some of the other folks that have been around with us for quite a while. Again, my name is Jeff Drury, Senior Director of Choice. I've been here 7 years. I came from the vendor world. I feel your pain a lot. For about 30 years, I would sell sales management, straight commission, salary plus bonus, you name it. I've done it mainly in the electrical business in my past life. So this is a quick picture of our team. This is one of our team building events. If you're from Houston, you know where this is. It's the aquarium owned by the Landry's folks, the downtown aquarium restaurant. We went and kind of had a little team building thing down there, riding some of the rides and eating lunch and things like that. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity to take a picture, show you the members of our team. Luckily, I'm back behind the rock, so you don't get to see my legs. But yeah, we're all in there. I think there's 18, 19 of us full-time employees, plus field reps that are all here to help you grow your business, help you try and increase sales. We have a brand new member, Jane Lopez. Where's Jane? Jane's in the back. For you people online, you're not going to see her live, but she's in the back. She worked actually with one of our vendors for about 20 years, Jane, about 20 years. And she did everything from starting in accounting and billing to becoming the Director of Operations, I believe was the last title before you left. Very, very happy to have her. She'll be the manager of our client services, all the people that do your billing and invoicing, and probably over time yell at you because this person doesn't have an interlocal with us, or say you didn't do this or that, or that's all in Jane's group. You guys probably already know Arlita, Chandra, and Sandra Kay, and some of the others that have been around for a while. Okay. Again, I'm trying to make this, they give me 15 minutes. I can't hardly say hello in less than 30 minutes, so I'm trying to hurry through as much as I can. It's a little bit of an agenda of what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about just kind of a real quick welcome introduction, who Choice Partners is, what HCDE, how we operate, and then we'll go down to some of the nuts and bolts, some of the legal requirements that are required by you guys. Required by our members. The only reason you're here talking to a cooperative and working with a cooperative is a lot of the legal requirements. Tricia will talk a little bit about food, have a marketing piece, and then Stephen will talk about some of the job order contracting, construction, renovation, those type things, what the do's and don'ts, and then we'll have closing in the middle. We'll have lunch here somewhere. I don't know if we have a specific time, or are we doing it during? We're doing it during, not after, right? Okay, we'll wait on that. Anyway, that's kind of what we're looking to do. What is the contract? It's broader than just people say, oh, we want a contract because we want to sell to you as HCDE. We'll get to that in just a second. Choice Partners is a division of something called Harris County Department of Education, HCDE. I guess I'm going to stay probably more on this side. I'm not ignoring folks over here, but I think the camera's got a better shot as far as online. So don't think I'm ignoring you folks that sat over here. If you want to get closer to us, you can, there's a few seats over here. Just kidding. You're perfectly fine. But it's a win-win-win. And the win-win-win we'll talk about in just a second. It's a win for us as a cooperative. It's a win for the lead agency. And it's a win especially for, for our members, and it's a win for vendors also. Okay. And this is kind of the little triangle that we talk about. And if any, don't hesitate, especially, well, online or in person. There may be a lot of people online that really don't know anything about Choice, but they may be a new vendor and out of state also. Feel free to send messages or questions or whatever, and Joanne will let us know, and we'll be happy to address anything. It's just, we want this to be as much a communication as anything. But the win-win-win, I'm just going to go over this quickly. Is there anybody that really doesn't know what this is, or doesn't make any sense to you? You're just being shy. There's probably one or two, not you. Choice Partners people raising their hand. There's one in every crowd, right? But basically what we have is Choice Partners is the cooperative. We are actually the cooperative and basically the lead agency also. Choice Partners / HCDE, Harris County Department of Education. There's the member, which are the guys you guys sell to, whether in Houston, just the city of Houston, Harris County, Katy ISD, Humble ISD, those type entities are what we refer to as the members. And then the awarded vendors are you guys. And I know Janet, when she talks about marketing, and a lot of others will say, your people say, oh, I'm a vendor. We like to say, well, you're an awarded vendor because you went through the strict evaluation process. We scored you, we evaluated you, we presented you before our board, the Board of Trustees approved you, and now you have the contract. And it's kind of a fishing license or hunting license, allowing you to go out and sell your product, market your product. There's nothing guaranteed on that. As some people that come in new, they're like, I remember one time I was at a little show, and two young ladies were sitting there just kind of behind the table, looking on their phones, and they said, oh yeah, we're waiting for the orders to come in. And they had just been a brand new member. And I said, well, what do you mean? They said, oh, we're just, we signed up and we did all that stuff. We're waiting for people to send in orders to us. And I said, it's not how it works. This is an ability for you to help your customers, whether they're new or existing or whatever, to go through their procurement process a lot faster and easier. And there was something lost in the communication, and I guess we probably take a little bit of fault and they take a little bit of fault. We want to make sure that you understand what we're trying to do, but there's an awarded contract from the cooperative or the lead agency to the vendor, and that is your I always like technical term, hunting license or fishing license, allowing you to say to someone, I've been vetted, I've been evaluated, I've been awarded. You should be able to use me through the Choice Partners contract and be able to procure your goods and services much easier at a competitive price also. There's the interlocal agreement, which allows the member, the governmental entity or not-for-profit, to use our contracts. People have used the term piggyback, or that's kind of a descriptive term, but you can call it a piggyback. We can use our contracts to buy goods and services also. And then there's a PO, which I think everybody in the room is familiar with a PO, right? PO comes from the customer to you. We don't have to bless it or anything before you can ship your product or sell your product or execute the agreement. All that we ask is that it's properly documented with our contract number on it. And that's for our purposes, and it's also for their purposes. They have a lot of, we'll talk in a few minutes, they have a lot of legal guidelines to go through, and we refer to it as a method of procurement. Their method of procurement to buy your goods or services is through our contract, and it keeps them legal. They're all worried about having to get into an orange jumpsuit if they don't follow legal guidelines or get fined, or up to possibly losing their job. I mean, that's just something in government purchasing. That's why we exist, and that's why you guys are here. All right. And I know I kind of hit on that lightly. Stephen will probably talk a little more in depth about it, but just wanted to kind of say that's kind of the structure of what's going on here. We've got the customer, they're not in the room. We do separate member orientations also. We've got the vendors and then we've got us as a cooperative, two legs of the three-legged stool here. I said HCDE a bunch of times. What is HCDE? HCDE, my business card says Choice Partners and really small type at the bottom and larger type on my badge here. It says Harris County Department of Education. They are the lead agency for Choice Partners, but they're also I guess you'd call them the parent company. They're who we work for. Choice Partners is one of the divisions within HCDE we'll talk about in just a minute. But it's been around since the 1880s. We are not a county. We're what's called a county school district. And we're also a taxing authority. If you live in the Harris County area, there's a little bitty piece, you may pay a couple $1,000s for your school taxes or county taxes or whatever. It might be $100 or so or whatever for HCDE, but it's a taxing authority also. All right, no, I'm not going to go into that. We're the only county school district left in the state. At one time there were 254 because there's 254 counties. Now there's 1,200 ISDs. All the county school districts were gone. 253 of them have kind of migrated into school districts, and we're the only one left. And we do what we do, and we do a lot of other services also, which is what this graphic here talks about. If you see a little circle at the very bottom, it talks about Choice Partners, but there are a number of we call them pillars or main areas that are supported, that are prominent within HCDE, adult education, helping people get GEDs, English as a second language, things like that. Case for Kids, which is after school programs, helping kids kind of stay off the street, get involved in things after school. Head Start, I think most people are familiar with what a Head Start is. It's typically pre-K. I think they go down to about 2 or 3 years old now. At one time, I think it was just like 4 or 5, but they keep going down in age. We have a number of Head Start locations, special schools. We don't have traditional schools. We don't have all the kids within a certain district. We have special schools that do special things, either for kids with adjudicated use or developmental or discipline problems or dependency problems. So we have a couple of schools, and we do therapy services also. We provide therapists, speech diagnosticians, and music therapists, things like that, to a lot of the schools in the area also. And you just see one of the little additional divisions is Choice Partners, the one that's circled right there. So this will be my last slide. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot, but I would encourage every one of you guys to know this, and we will have something more formal for all the vendors down the way. We'll kick off for the members next Tuesday on the 30th, where we talk about our rebate program. A lot of times that's a big incentive for for the members. They're like, oh, we're going to use your cooperative. Oh, and we get a little bit of money back too. We can put into a general fund or whatever it can be. And we've seen it to be an incentive for using one co-op over the other. But they're always typically worried about being compliant and doing all those things right first. But this is something that we're offering. It's just kicking off. Actually, effective would be next Thursday, is it? September 1st, actually September 1st of 2022, whatever date that is. Is it Thursday? Janet's nodding her head. Next Thursday. But anyway, it's brand new, and we hope to, it's another tool for you guys to use when you're out there talking to customers. You may get, yes, sir.
Is that workshop for us or is it for the?
It's mainly for the members. We're getting those guys jazzed up, because that's one thing that the question was, is the workshop for vendors or who is it for? The initial workshop, and we've had a lot of these discussions, that's a good question, but the workshop is mainly for, not mainly, it's only for the members, because they're the guys, we're asking them to do a couple of different things on reporting wise also. And so we felt that it would be adamant to get those guys in the loop first. And but what we're trying to do is make sure they understand what we're doing, that it's out there, the time frame. Somebody's looking at his watch. I'm way over. Anyway, Feel free, if you have people you are dealing with, we've blasted people like crazy with this information, but if there are members that you say, hey, you really need to probably go to this, or just at least log on to watch it to see what Choice Partners has to offer, feel free to do that. But we're keeping the first one, we're trying to make it for members, because we're going to kind of go into some of their reporting things and stuff like that. But anyway, we can't wait for that thing to kick off, and looking forward to answering any questions, and kind of now we're going to get a little more into the meat of it. And we will have Steve Gibson, one of our contract managers, will be talking about some of the legal requirements. And then we'll kind of go down that agenda that we were talking about earlier. Somewhere in there, we'll get some food in here, okay? All right, guys, so this is Steve Gibson. So remember, there's no mute, there's no anything. So don't say anything bad.
There is an on-off switch on the top.
There's an on-off. Change the slides. Let's do it.
So you just put this in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Is anybody else reminded by the Naked Gun scene where he forgets he has the mic on and goes into the bathroom? It's timeless scene. I love it. Anyway, thank you all for coming. I'm gonna take my glasses off. Really appreciate it. We do these trainings every quarter. We do a lot of trainings. We train not only you as vendors, we train our members, and it's necessary. It's very necessary to do these trainings all the time. One of the reasons why it's necessary is co-ops are a unique concept. They're not necessarily the normal concept. They are not the way business has been done for thousands of years. They are the way that they are a modern creation. I think they are a response to government purchasing needs, and the many stakeholders and the different factions. They're a response to some legal challenges that make purchasing difficult. So the training is really important, and honestly, vendors don't discount that. And the reason I say don't discount that is that at the end of this training, you might know more about co-ops than the person in government you're selling to. I say that, and I say that as a former buyer. When they give the purchasing people their basic training, co-ops are not really part of that. When I did my basic training, okay, my boss said, she handed me a booklet of law and said, here, just read all that. And inside it were a few articles of some really, really interesting newspaper stories of some city officials and school officials who ended up going to jail because they did stuff wrong. So, for purchasing professionals, they throw a lot at them about following the law. Now, it's a good thing. It's not really necessarily your burden here, but it is important. So we want to reinforce these, and you're welcome to come back to as many of these as you feel comfortable doing. What is the one thing I want you to come away from? What is the one thing I want you to remember? What is a co-op? The one thing that you should probably remember more than anything else, the first principle, it's an agreement. It's not an agreement that's formed in the future like you do when you make a sale. It's an agreement that's already happened in the past that your member you're selling to and you as the vendor sign up to. So the agreement's already been done. The pricing's there. You and the member agree to use that pricing and make a deal. Why is that important? That saves a bunch of time. They don't have to go through their legally required RFP process. because that process has already happened. When you are awarded that contract, that means that you've already submitted that pricing and you've been awarded that contract. That satisfies the competitive requirement. So some important concepts that I want you to remember. Just remember these terms, and they will always be there for you and make sense to you when they come up, and you'll be able to even use them in your conversations. Again, you may be educating the members on how co-ops work. We'll go into more on that. So one concept I'd like you to keep in mind is method of procurement. So method of procurement. Another one is free and open competition. Another thing to keep in mind is stakeholders versus purchasing people. And I used to use the word end user until one of my directors, what the heck is an end user? And I said, good point. We're going to call them stakeholders. You know, think of these are the people who are actually using the contract. So keep in mind these terms, and I think it will very much help you. Why are the stakeholders important? Let's imagine a scenario where you have, let's say I'm in purchasing, okay? I'm a buyer. Stakeholder brings me a quote from a vendor. He says, hey, can you get me a PO? Okay, I'm going to look at it real quick. It's like, here, you need to get a couple more quotes because I don't have time right now to do this for you. But federal law, you got to have at least 3 quotes, you know. That's the method of procurement. Okay, you have to have some method of procurement. You know, the government is going to assume that the first quote that you get is not going to be your best quote. So that's the thing. Now, as you as the vendor, not yet. Not yet. I'll get to it. I'm just telling stories. Don't worry, the rest of the slides will go really fast. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Got it. So you as a vendor submitted a quote to your stakeholder. He submitted it to his purchasing department. His purchasing department looks over the quote and says, well, this doesn't do me any good. I can't do anything with this because I need 2 other quotes. So he either at that point will send it back, or if he's diligent and has the time, he will go out and get those other 2 quotes. Okay, so what happens when he gets those other quotes? Well, you may not get that sale after that. Will you see it? No, it's that whole process is behind a curtain. It's unseen to you. So the way that you want to think of when you use the co-op, you want to have that co-op's name and contract referenced on your quotation. That way the purchasing people, at least if they say, hey, I need a couple more quotes, your stakeholder says, no, here, this is from a co-op, so you really don't need to do that anymore. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start going through these things. Okay, so legal requirements. Here's a whole bunch of laws. This is how most of us purchasing professionals, this is how we learned about it, right? You can imagine for a manager or of a purchasing department how challenging it is to follow every single law. It's a lot. The good news for y'all is that this is not your burden to do. This is your stakeholders. This is your entity's purchasing departments. It's their responsibility to keep them in line with all these laws. Why is the choice partners contract important? The reason it is that contract is written in such a way that it basically handles all of those laws. Our contracts are written to apply to the most stringent criteria that's applicable. What are the benefits to you as a vendor of the co-op? You got less risk and time for sale. You know, why is it less risk? Okay, well, if you're just referencing a contract that's already been legally awarded, is there really a reason why they need to go out for other quotes? No, there's a contract there. Now, they can always do so, but they're not obligated to. You've been awarded a very good and legal contract. As long as you have your pricing on file, you submit that pricing to your stakeholder or their purchasing department, however, then you have a legal contract. They don't need to go out for those other quotes. Repeat business. Okay, if they don't need to go out for quotes, are they really going to want to? Well, maybe if it's in their interest, they will. But if they like you and they trust you're, offering them a good deal, why would they? So repeat business. You have a single award with the Choice Partners contract and a potential for multiple entities. Keep that in mind. You do have to keep on reaching out to those entities and make sure they know who you are. More relationship sales, and less responding to RFPs. So I always think of it as, it would be nice if I had an incoming sales channel. People just call me when they need something and I'm filling orders. Isn't that the sales dream? Well, yes, you can do that. Now, it's not going to happen without your working at it. Just like any successful sales operation, you have to bring up awareness of it. So like I said, we're not a lead finding agency. We're setting up a contract here. And if you bring the awareness of this contract to our members, they will buy from it. You can also propose on needs that are never bid out. So more and more companies are using cooperative purchasing. As they do so, the reason they do so is they have limited staff in their purchasing departments. It's incredibly time consuming to put out an RFP, and it takes a long time to get them done. So you can propose on those needs, they're never bid out. Okay, imagine perfect scenario, a water leak. I've got a leak in my building. Okay, I don't have 2 or 3 weeks to put out an RFP and then go through having people come in and everybody bid something when nobody has any idea. If you've ever dealt with a water leak in a building, you know how challenging that can be. Not to exceed pricing applies to all members. That's a very, very good thing for you because, like I said, the contract's already done. You don't need to negotiate it at that point. If you're a service organization, your rates are on file. The rest you will figure out. You'll just have to adhere to those rates. And then there's the pre-qualification factor. Pre-qualification factor, you've been awarded. This is something good. It's an arrow in your cap, or a feather in your cap if you want. Okay, why are your government customers using cooperative purchasing? Lower pricing, lower administrative costs, more favorable terms and conditions. That's for the NIGP. Those are the 3 top reasons for cooperative contracts and why government entities are using them. Here's some other reasons. Cooperative purchasing is authorized in Texas and many other states. You can get that project or purchase started immediately without delay. You have established pricing. You have flexibility and convenience. You can shift your procurement resources to more complex and needed areas. You reduce your procurement cost and risk, and you can work with established vendors. So, very good deal for our members. Also saves you time as vendors. People ask all the time, how do I sell this thing? Okay, and I say, well, you will do it the same way you always do it. Legal and compliant is probably the last thing you want to think about. You want to make sure you have it there, but you're going to make those relationships the same way you always do. And you're just going to kind of keep that. So you're still establishing the same basic need and proposing a way to solve it. Help the customer. Help them get what they want. Help them get what they want from you. And then the last part of that is the legal and compliant part. Now, we have many different types of contracts. I don't want to say many types of contracts. Our contracts are all written very similarly. We focus on food at Choice Partners, technology, office supplies and commodities, services, and construction. So we cover a lot of different areas, and that's something to think about when you are doing it. So quick quiz on how well you know your contract. Going to ask a quick question. Everybody just shout out the answer as you think it. Question number 1. It's true or false? It's appropriate to offer better pricing or discounts to Choice Partners members than contracted pricing. True. It is. You're not obligated to, and you can offer better pricing if you need to, just not worse pricing.
Just keep in mind that your contract is a not to exceed.
There you go. The contract is a not to exceed, right? So you don't want to exceed the pricing you have on file. You can always offer better pricing if you find that in your advantage and your customer's advantage. It's permitted to add the CP fee to the quotation. True or false? All right, everybody's dead on that. Pricing may be changed at any time in the contract period. True or false? You guys are awesome. New items may be added to the contract pricing and catalog. A, anytime. B, at renewal. 3, following approval from HCDE. Did you guys get these ahead of time? C, yes, very good. Number 5, vendor standard terms and conditions do not apply when using the Choice Partners contract. A, true, B, false. That is false. Yes, your terms and conditions will apply, and the term you need to remember is supplemental contract. You are going to be writing, when you do business with our member, a contract that is just between you and them. Last question. Oh, gosh. What's IQ? What does IDIQ stand for? Indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. Again, we don't know what they will buy. We don't know how much they will buy it from. We don't even know who will be your next customer. We don't know. That's why we call it IDIQ. Just a little trivia, and maybe good for you to know. Choice Partners also has a supply catalog. I want you to keep that in mind. If you have, hang on one second, I will get to your question. If you are very competitive and you're offering commodities and you're very competitive in price, you may be a very good candidate. This is a unique catalog. These are generally low bid items. They're not always 100% low bids, but in 90% of those cases in our supply catalog, our members can go to that catalog and select some very commonly chosen items and get a low bid item. So something very worthwhile to look into if you are very competitive on price. Reporting requirements, real quick, because this is something that is going to be changing later, and I'm not going to go into those changes now. But keep in mind, the reporting is required by our vendors. It's very important. Vendors tell us their sales when you make a sale. We have members report as well. Vendor reporting is so much more accurate for a lot of reasons, because you will be aware of the final amount. Whereas sometimes when members report, we get blanket POs. We never seem to always know what the final amount is without a lot of going back and forth and asking. So we do ask you as vendors to report your sales monthly to Choice Partners. Even if no sales, please do so. We won't get mad if you don't sell anything in a month. You know, send us something, let us know how you're doing. Also helps your contract manager stay on top of you, offer any assistance which you might need. We'd like to keep that relationship going. This is what those reports look like. You've got just the dollar amount, member name, date, PO number, and contract number. At the end of a few months, we will kind of gather up all your reports, and invoice you the administrative fee based on the correct percentage of those reports. For commodities, it's usually 2%. If you're in Jock, Stephen can talk more about that. But the report looks a little bit different and it's based on your project amount. And the food is very similar to the commodities reporting form. Right now, we are doing this by email. In the future, that will change. You'll notice up at the top, you have the address where your reporting is to be sent. So for commodities, supply reporting at choicepartners.org. For facilities or Jock, it goes to facility reporting. And then for food reporting at choicepartners.org. And that's really all I have. I know that they've been trying to get me to move along. So I'm going to turn this over right now to Trish, who is the assistant manager of Choice Partners and in charge of the food contracts.
Too much stuff to hold in my hand. Okay, I got demoted, I guess. I am Tricia Presticomo. I am Assistant Director at Choice Partners. And I'm not putting this on just because I'm up here for like a minute. And I got to catch up because Steve and Jeff talk too much. So I'll make it really quick. Okay, so I've been here, actually tomorrow's like, I've been in food 19 years tomorrow, not 19 years here, but 19. Did you know that? Anyways, I used to work at Cy-Fair ISD. I worked here at the co-op before when it was a food co-op, and I've been back here for about 9 years now. I have a couple other employees underneath me. They're both upstairs, but you may talk with them sometimes. There's a Laura and a Melissa, and they're great to work with. We have lots of food contracts, but what we really wanted to talk about is our upcoming shows that are coming up. So it's too close to my face. On October 13th is the food show. Okay, so they're both at the Humboldt Civic Center. The food show is mainly just for food service directors and their staff, and we do invite select students. There's probably about 140 booths. You should have already been receiving a registration information if you want to register for a booth. The vendor exhibit is the next day at the Humboldt Civic Center, and it is more for purchasing staff, purchasing directors, M&O, no students, and no food samples. But we have a new theme this year. It's kind of Renaissance. We're going to have some vendors, some, I guess, performers going around, a juggler, and I can't remember what else. And we have wonderful costumes to wear. And I think, what is it, $4.50 is a booth. If you have any questions about the vendor exhibit, Christy's in the back. She can answer any questions on that. Questions on the exhibit coming up? Oh, also the 12th, the night before the food show, we do a director's dinner. So if anybody's interested in that, and basically what it is, it's more sponsorship. It tends to be around $500 additionally. You sponsor a dinner, but we kind of go through, because like we only get 10 per event. So like I have 20 people right now that are interested, so I'll have to like get it down to 10. So if you're interested, let us know and we can add you to the list of interested vendors for that. I was out of town. I haven't really seen my slides, so sorry. This is just a list of the food contracts. We have anything that a food service department would need to buy, anything related to food cafeterias, dairy, groceries, fresh bread, ice cream, Domino's pizza, even food equipment, small wares, and cafeteria supplies. Any questions? No. That is all for me. See how fast I was? The next up is Janet's going to come talk to you about marketing your contract.
Howdy, just testing. I'm sorry, I don't have any place to put the microphone either, so I'd rather do this, and it gives me the chance to walk and move and meet everyone. And I want to say welcome and thank you very much for coming. I get excited about this part of our training because I used to be a vendor and I know what it is to say, don't give me a tool and not teach me how to use it. So that's what we want to do with this portion of our presentation today is if you're a vendor and you've been newly awarded, or even if you've been with us a while, there's always something you can pick up to learn to enhance how you market the contract you got. So we want to start with the very first thing that says, where do you begin? What is your target? So y'all are all tasked with that now. I don't know if you're inside in sales or if you're outside, but where would you think your best target market would be? Who you already have as a customer, right? That's something. So you want to stop and think, if I've been selling to somebody already and my company executed a contract that allows me to offer them better pricing, what better way to build trust and solidify your relationship with that customer to you, member to us, than to say, I have a new vehicle. And if they fall in the category, which they can only be a governmental entity or a not-for-profit, if they fall in that category, you say, I'd like you to consider this because it's going to be to your advantage. Now, you might think, I hate to go here, but it's true. We might think, oh, how's that going to hit me in my commission pocket? But the thing is, you're making a lifetime friend, and it's beyond a friend in a business relationship where it's based on trust and that you have their best benefit at foremost in the mind. And so you put yourself in their shoes and they're going, this guy's thinking for me. You know, they're actually bringing me something that's going to help me. I think I'm going to listen to what they have in the future. So when we do talk about our rebate program, or we do talk about something else, you're going to say, they're just helping me all along make the most out of what budget I have. And unfortunately, many of us have been hit with budget cuts, whether it's on the vendor side or the member side. So we need to work together to grow that. So the next one, we say members or vendors. I mean, members or non-members. So there is that option to do both. If you have sales reps that are out in the field and they come across a governmental entity or not-for-profit that is not a member, and we do have a list that y'all can get, we'll get to that in a minute. You don't want them to say, oops, can't touch that. No, it's definitely go for it. And how you do it is we can work it from both sides. We are here, I'm in the marketing department, but I'm also like membership manager. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to your contract manager. And I'll just stop right now and say, before you leave today, ensure that you know who your contract manager is. It's not just something else to know. They're vital to helping you grow and use your contract. But you can reach out to them, myself, or anyone else, call our 800 number and say, I've got a live one. They're interested in me, but they're not a member. How do we move forward? So there are some places on the website that you can direct them. So it's not all you on your own. And if you have sales reps that feel strong enough in doing their own presentation, please teach them and go for it, or call us up. We'll teach them. And then it just puts another tool in their hand to help them move that sale right down, into the funnel. We want to keep that funnel flowing. Another way is you can get referrals from existing members, even inside an organization. So if you have a customer that has multiple departments within it, you might be just working with the finance department, or you might just be working with purchasing. But have you ever thought, whether it's a county or a city or a school district or university, they've got all other divisions. They have curriculum, they have technology, they have transportation. We have contracts for all that. And if your contract can go and apply to any of those different divisions, don't keep yourself in just one silo within that one organization. Think bigger, and then you help yourself grow using the contract. Also, it'll be word of mouth. You can ask the main contact you have already. Say, could you share my information with anyone else in your other departments? And I'd be happy to come meet with them too. So it's just a way to build a wonderful relationship with one and then have them help push you out. Now, it might not have ever occurred to you, but there is a way that our own awarded vendors can collaborate with each other. So if you had, like per Steve's Example, if you had a flooring issue that needed to be taken care of right away, but in that flooring issue, it's going to disrupt the cabling for your electrical or for your Wi-Fi, then reach out to Choice and say, who do you think could work with me on this? And think how both of you get an advantage with one customer. You're not robbing from each other. You do the roofing, they do the cabling. But if you come together and you solve a problem for a member with one-stop shopping, they're going to be ingratiated to you. You know, it's going to mean, again, one, you're thinking about them, and two, you help move their project forward fast and swift. So it behooves you when we're having lunch afterwards, or even when you just go online and you look and see what other vendors we have who might be able to assist you at another time. So we always want to encourage that. Now, what I want to show you is where you log in to access the vendor dashboard, which is the main tool that you will use. And I will say that most vendors have one login that was used when they responded to the RFP. If you want another login for your company, and that's entirely up to you, then we're going to direct you to go to your administrator who has that one login. They can go to the backside of our website and they can get you set up. Please do not use this set up a new account. That is really more for our members, not for you vendors. And if you need assistance at this point, Assistant Director Joanne Nichols can assist you, or Joanne, I'm not sure if you have another fallback, but just do the 713-696-2122 number and she'll get you through there, okay? So let me show you, once you get the login right here, this is where you're going to go. And this is your backbone that you want to be in the hands of every sales rep, your inside sales administration, and everything else, because it has what you need to get the information and the answers. So I'm going to talk, you can look through each of this, view members. I told you we get it in your hands where you could get a list of members, and you can organize them by state, by territory, alphabetically. These are vendors if you want to work together, collaborate. But this is the one I'm going to speak to mostly because that's my area for you, and that's our marketing resource. Okay. And this is what the page looks like. I could do this live, but I don't want to lose anybody going back and forth. But this is what the page will look like. So you can still see you're on the dashboard and you're down here doing marketing resources. This helps you get in and out. When you're through, you just log out. But here is where you can see things that we have in blue are actual live links for you to get assistance. If you've never worked with governmental entities or not-for-profits, or you've worked minimally, we have a tips outline here that could help you educate your sales reps. We know there's a lot of turnover going today, so we want to ensure that everybody has that. Here's a list of our member entities. So if you already flipped back from that one page, you can go here, and a quick list of the vendors. But this right here is something, if you've not dealt with the education sector before, we were started mostly for school districts, but cities, counties, universities, nonprofit, they all said, I want in on the co-op purchasing too. So ESC stands for Educational Service Center. And in the state of Texas, the Texas Education Association, a lot of acronyms, but that's TEA, divided Texas into 20 regions. And that's where we put it here. So if you hear somebody say, oh, can you help me? I'm in region 13 or I'm in region 4, which is Harris County, or any other region, you're like, yeah, that's Greek to me. We want to help you out. Go there and look. And that's a good way to get familiar with some of the lingo and areas that people talk about. Now, become a featured vendor, we'll talk about on another slide. I just want you to be very aware that you can reach out to me. This is my phone number right here. Again, I'm Janet Walks, and I'm Assistant Director of Marketing and Client Engagement, and I'm here to give any support that Choice Partners needs to move forward. So one of the things that's in your contract that we want to let you know that is required are right here. We definitely need the CP seal displayed on your website. It looks like this. You all should have one right there in front of you. It has a backside that opens up So what we'd like to see is when you go to any conference or you're in your office, it'll stand up, just like this stands up. And you can share with the world. It just helps brand them, brand you to us, and let's say, oh, what is that? Or, oh, wow, I know what it is. Let's go for it. It links us together. The other thing is when you put that seal on your, website, please link it back to the Choice Partners website, but to your landing page. And we're going to say this, it's better for you to link it back, not to our homepage, but to your landing page within our website. That's like your own mini website within our website. And what that does is it drives the traffic directly to you, so you don't lose somebody who is looking you up specifically, okay? So another thing, conference participation, where we'd like you to display the seal. It's required in your contract that you exhibit at least 5 times a year. And you can get some suggestions on where to exhibit from our website, and I can show you that later. Or you can come up with your own. Maybe you have an own trade organization or something else that you've gone to regularly. As long as you display the seal and you talk about our contract, that's fulfilling the requirement. Are there any questions on that? I do think now that we're past 2020 and COVID restrictions have eased some, it's going to be easier to get out a little bit more. We did understand that for 2020 and 2021, but right now it's more kind of a rock and roll. Let's get out there again. So as far as developing a marketing and strategic plan, you have your own, but what we can help you with is how to market this specific contract. We're not going to sit there and have a brand new company come to us and say, give us a marketing plan we can take to the bank. I don't think that would work even to be awarded, but we are here to help you with the marketing we can do with regard to Choice. And we do have statewide publications and targeted emails, and I'm going to explain that in a little bit, what it takes to be able to work with us so we can work with you. Now, back to that same page under marketing resources, when you come down, there'll be a thing that says download the seal. If we're going to require it, we're going to give you the tool to do it. So you can see the seal over here on y'all's right. And then down here, we give you the guidelines and also a seal with and without a white background, because we do realize that there's different forms of collateral you'll be developing. If it comes to the point where you need a black and white version, it would look better on whatever you're preparing. Call me, we can get it to you. If you need it in EPS or some other format than PNG or JPEG, we'll get that to you as well. We will not limit that. We appreciate the marketing and we're here to assist. So as it says right here, here's my name and phone number and email. Now, back to what's very powerful. It's become a featured vendor. Now, I don't know, is there a show of hands, how many of you are already awarded vendors and you've been with us more than 1 year? Wonderful. Okay, what I would like to confirm is, are all of y'all receiving our monthly newsletter, Leader's Choice? If you're not, get with your contract manager and they can add your email to the backside of your landing page, because that's where we pull who gets it. This featured vendor is the lead story of our monthly newsletter. It comes with the ability to put in pictures, anything you want to say about your company with regard to us. You can cite examples of where you've sold and had victories and anything like that. It's just great. And you don't pay extra for it. It's already part of an admin fee, and this is what we do with it. This pushes out nationally. It gets posted on our website, which is worldwide. I mean, it is tons of places for you to go to get more exposure. And we all know the cost of marketing has gone up, whether you do video or paper or print. So we're saying that this is a part of what you get with your contract and use it. Now, what we do is some qualifiers. You can't just be newly awarded. So I'm feeding into your pipeline of hope. Let's grow together. Once you get that desire that you want to be there, we would say that you have to have 3 completed projects that ended successfully for the member as well as for you. Then you reach out to your contract manager and say, I'd like to be featured. And then we have the discussion here, and because we only have 12 months a year that we get it out. And I think maybe down to 11. I don't think we publish one in March every year. But so there's limited space, but we don't limit who can come as long as there's production and interest in growing your contract. So you contact your contract manager, say I'm interested, and then we look for it, and then they can give you the paperwork to fill it out, or actually they just give me your contact name and phone number. I reach out and I have a list of interview questions that we do. And if it's not me, it'll be our marketing coordinator. And oh, there you moved. Andre Cuellar. We're passing some work back and forth, and Andrea will give you a call and email, and a lot of it can just be done online. We just need those pictures. Please, please, please include pictures. We need one horizontal. We need a couple in portrait mode, but well, I mean landscape and portrait, but it's whatever verbiage you want on there. And then at the bottom of the article, we give the tagline that says, if you want more information, go directly to your website, contact this person. We keep that flow going. You can't buy that kind of coverage that goes nationwide like every month. It's just amazing. So we have a lot that are interested in, like I said, it's once a month. So just as soon as you get your wheels going, that when those of you that are new, those of you that have been with us a while, reach out to your contract manager and we'll keep it going. Are there any questions on that? Again, this is why we hope that our almost require, you know, your contract manager before you go, because they're going to assist you with a lot of things. Now, you're going to say, well, I think I'll just do my own marketing. I've got some ideas here. We're going to say, if you're going to market to our members and you want our member contact list, if there is that option, you do have it. And we would offer it for snail mail, email, phone, you know, in person, if you for a conference. But if you're going to create some kind of marketing material, we do request that you share it with us so we can review it. And it's not for content about your product or service, but it's mostly to ensure that the way you represent yourself with us is correct. And I'll just give you an example. We have had a few new vendors that literally call themselves, I'm a new member and I got approved to do this. Well, in that 2 sentences, they use 2 verbiages we would prefer. Number one, they're not a member, they're a vendor. They just think, you know, we're all together. And I get it, and that's a nice family thought, but they must refer to themselves as a vendor. And they were not approved. They were awarded. And this is where Jeff had alluded to that we're very sticky in marketing about that, not because it's a marketing thing. It's because you worked very hard and it was a very stringent a stringent response that was vetted by the multiple members that sat on the staff to say, let's rate these RFPs. So you want to be proud of what you got. So you want to use your terminology that makes you look good and it strengthens it going out. Those are the kind of reviews I would do. Then, I mean, if there's a little bit more, if there's a grammatical error here or there, we'll be happy to help with that too. But our main focus is to make sure that you look good putting out the contract. So we review the language, and then when we get back a finalized, approved marketing collateral piece, then we will pull the list and you have your option. Some of you are national vendors, some of you are local. Local meaning Texas only, or maybe within a few of the ESC regions. You have an option on the link that you'll get from your contract manager, which is how you request the member contact list. It's all electronic. And in that list, we give you the option. Do you want Texas or do you want all the US? And then underneath that, we say, do you want all areas or just certain areas? And then you can even drill down further and find out, do you want all the roles that we have in our database, or do you only want purchasing agent? Do you only want, well, I wouldn't say superintendents, let's see. We have business managers, or if you want something else like that, you'll see all the options listed there. So it's a really efficient tool to get you target market contacts. All righty. So again, contact your contract manager, request the contact request link, and you will have to, when you fill that out, attach your proposed marketing collateral to it. There's an option to attach at least 3. I don't know if you have 4 or 5 that you want us to look at one time. It might have to come through on an email and just saying, I couldn't upload everything, but we'll work with you. Any questions? Again, the link won't be on the website. It will be through your contract manager. We like to keep them in the loop because they can help me if I have anything that needs to be defined or to help you out. What we want to do today too is briefly give you an insight to what a member would see when they go to the website, because as a sales rep for your company, the more tools you have in your tool belt, the better apt you are to speak their language or to see their pain point and be able to offer your service, right? So as a member, we have the same login that you do, and they can use set up a new account. Now, this new account doesn't mean, oh, I'm just going to go to ABC school district and they aren't a member. And I talked to somebody in their transportation department, they want new tires. And guess what? I'm just going to sign them up. We're going to run and I'm going to sell them on the contract because I've got a contract. Whoa. The reason I say, well, this set up a new account is just a member login unless their entity has executed an interlocal agreement in the state of Texas, or someone in their entity out of state has already registered to be a member. This won't work because this ties directly to only the members that we have approved, okay? And this isn't us being selective, it's us helping you or helping the members and you stay compliant and audit proof, okay? So if they're an existing member and you have a sales rep meeting with them and they don't have a login and their company said it's okay, then you send them here to set up a new account. And it's pretty self-explanatory as you walk through it. Once they get that login, they get a dashboard much like y'all have. Our buttons will be different. And that when I'm talking now, I'm talking as a member point of view. Our buttons are different. So see what we can do. We can do a contract list. Well, the vendors have that as well. We can go here and see current vendors. You can see that as well. But what you do not see and what we do push with our members is get a quote. It's a huge time-saving, money-saving opportunity for our members to get quotes from our vendors. It's very easy. And I think I have another slide that we can go through it. Then it also has its own button for food because they're their own unique kind of contract types. So we pull those out so they don't get lumped with others. And then another button for the supply catalog that Steve referred to. So they're going to use each one of those. And then again, you can see over here on the right where we have some other just information to keep you in the loop. You wanted to know, I kept referring to a landing page. Each of you will have your own landing page and it'll look like this. We have contact information from your company here. This can only be populated if you supplied it to your contract manager. If they don't have any further contact from you, the very first one will be, I think, whoever registered to respond to the RFP. So be sure you look at your landing page regularly because there's more information further down that talks about this vendor, it says. So if you want to change anything, you want to rewrite it, if you had anybody that has left, or if you've increased who you want to add here, go through your contract manager. It's not set in stone, but it's up to you to drive the information that's on there. So you can see we always include the contract number, which is important for a member to keep on any PO or purchase that's made. We provide your website address and the area you're approved for so they know where they can shop. We always keep on here too, how they can reach out to Choice Partners and get inside information from us. And they'll reach out to you. It's up to them which way they wanted to go. So here's another landing page and you can see we just went through it. And this is what I wanted to show you, the about the partner. This again is written, if we don't get something from you, it comes from what was on the RFP response. Otherwise, please reach out and say, I prefer you to put this, or can you beef it up and do that? And your contract manager can assist with that. Now, the get a quote. I just wanted to show you briefly how easy it is for them to do. They select a category of contract and everything that's in maroon or red, however that appears to you, that's exactly like it is listed on the awarded contract sheet that we offer or what you pick up from our website. They'll pick a division or a type of contract. Then when they do, the system automatically distills out vendors approved. They'll put down here that what it is they want quoted. Sometimes they'll put, I'm a CP member, other times they don't. Please be sure that whoever gets this, if it's when it gets to your estimator, that the estimator bases it on your CP contract. This is not a quote for you to offer any other venue of purchasing. If you get what I'm trying to say gently, it's not to be quoting like, oh, we belong to multiple co-ops. It came from Choice. It should be quoted on your Choice contract. But I don't know who it goes to within your own entity. So if you have estimators that don't get this directly to their inbox, just be sure when it's sent to them that it came from Choice. But then the member just fills out this information. Down here, it actually has product or service need by date. We added that because if a member wants something in 2 weeks and you know you have it coming in, but because of our supply demands have been, how would you say, thwarted, because we have some ships sitting off of California that they don't have any way to offload them and get it to them until 4 weeks after their date, at least it allows you to start a conversation and say, I've got what you want. It's time further out. Do you have any flexibility? At least talk to them and say, if I can't meet your deadline, please consider me in the future. They need that too, because we tell them to be sure and get a response. Because if they're required to have 2 or 3 responses to show they shopped around, your response is going to count as one, whether you're able to fill it or not. And then the other thing they can do here too, tell your estimate to look for this. They can upload a file. I think you said it has a limit of 10, is it 10 megabytes? Is it 10 megabytes? But that generally will take any kind of picture or any specifications if they had them. It's just a very potent tool for a member to say, I want some answers and I want them now. I can encumber funds and we can rock and roll because I don't have to use an RFP because they are already approved through the co-op. So that's what we're doing all through here. And if you want to go over that more, I'd be happy to do that personally with you and we can look at it. Now, I told you that there's some places on our website. If you go to the home button, then right beside the home button, there's About Us button. And under About Choice Partners, you have all these options. The events I told you will list where we're going to go exhibit. So you can look at this list and you'll be able to say, oh, I think I can hit that one. Oh, that's in my territory. Or, oh, that pertains to my product or service. I'll go. Again, you can find your own. Come down here to current news. You also have presentations as in today. So for those of you that are online or those of you that had sales reps that couldn't make it, you can go here. We'll have this uploaded, the video plus the PowerPoint. So you can always continually do training after today. And the contact us is also when you click that button, you'll see everybody that's listed, their name turns into email and their phone numbers there. So we're trying to make ourselves not just transparent, but extremely available to help you grow. These are just where the FAQs are. And in this, we suggest, we only show it to you to suggest you might send some of your new sales reps there, or maybe yourself briefly to find answers to a question that might come up. You're always welcome to call, but many of your answers you're going to find there. And this is that About page and what it looks like. So email from the name, and then there's the phone number. So just a few takeaways. Review the vendor dashboard. Try it, use it. If you have questions, get with your contract manager. Definitely check out the market resource page because we're here to help you grow your own business. Share how a member can get a login. That's what I was saying, that set up a new account is exactly where they go to get the login, and we can do that. Contract managers do have the request forms for a contact list, and they will assist you, and I'll help you moving forward. And if you're not a construction vendor, we do have a survey. I don't know, Joanne, if you're able to drop that in the chat box, or if we can show the link. I can do this real quick. Let me do this. Stephen, can you tell me if this is on camera? Or can somebody tell Joanne in the chat box? Oh, I thought, pardon me? Well, I wasn't sure if she had gotten it. Ta-da, yay. Just improvising, you know, I'm in sales. I always do what I can. So if you will take this survey right now, if you are not in construction, We would appreciate that. We grow with your feedback. And then after me, we'll have Stephen Kendrick come up and he will talk to you about how it is to use your JOC, job order contracting contract. Thank you very much.
Slide it up. Or no, push it.
I got it. Hello. Okay, go ahead and fill out the survey. I think it's very short, just a couple of questions. Real quick, either the tent on your table or online, obviously the QR code there. What we're going to do right now, and before Stephen gets started, we're going to take about 15 minutes. If you guys want to just take a little bio break, we've got the box lunches next door. If you're done and you don't want to listen, or your commodities, and this doesn't pertain to you, what Stephen's going to talk about, you're free to go take a box lunch. We're perfectly fine with that. And we want to say thank you for coming. And the rest of you will just probably get going. My throat, probably get going in about 15 minutes. Okay. So with that, we'll probably have about, I'm going to say it's 11. What is it? I get my watch, but it's always a minute. 11:17. So let's say 11. Let's give it 11:35 on the clock. We'll try to get back here. So about whatever, 18 minutes or so. Okay, about 11:35, we'll try to come back on live and get situated back here in the room. All right, thanks.
All right. For those of you in the room, how many of you know if you have either a jock or a trade jock contract? That means basically you can do installation as well. Okay, don't think of it so much as construction because your definition and the legal definition are different, but you're doing installations. All right, I got a handful of you. That's probably what this is going to apply to. You likely were awarded either a full-blown jock, which means a construction jock. You can do anything and everything in the unit price book that we named. Or you have a trade-specific jock, and that means you're restricted to the trades either specified in the contract or the trades you requested to be awarded in the contract, depending on which type of contract you responded to. Let me go ahead and. Well, apparently it's not wanting to click. There we go. So real quick, my name is Stephen Kendrick. I'm Senior Manager of Facilities Planning here at Harris County Department of Education. I basically oversee a lot of the legal compliance for construction contracts, which includes the job order contracts with Choice Partners. A lot of what you're going to hear today, if you've never heard me present before, is going to sound Greek. You're going to sit there and go, that guy's full of himself. That doesn't sound right to me. That's not the way I've always done it. But trust me, legislatures don't truly understand the construction world. And sometimes they make laws that don't make sense in our world, right? And so that's what I'm going to cover. Your clients are bound to these laws. They may not even know them. But this is how your contract should be used. This is what you need to do if you want to keep them legal. Make sense? Just a little background on me. I actually worked for a general contractor for 9 years. I was in your shoes. I then moved to a school district. I was assistant director of maintenance and operations for a little district just south of here at Santa Fe ISD. And I was there for 6 years. And then Choice Partners actually recruited me to be over their compliance for their department. And then I promoted up into my current position. And I help both our internal construction contracts for our school district, as well as with Choice Partners in their contracts. Okay, a couple things I'm going to talk about is why job order contracting. A lot of you in here, if you're a trade, you're not truly a general contractor, you're used to time and material contracts. That's historically what we did. Those were outlawed for construction services back in 2011, but nobody truly realized it until we had a little hurricane hit us named Harvey. And then all of a sudden, we're using federal dollars. People started getting audited and they started getting caught. Does that make sense? Maintenance versus construction. Okay, so maintenance contracts still allow for time and material. But what you have to understand is that there's so much case law out there, attorney general opinions, state comptroller opinions, and OSHA opinions, that they've basically narrowed the window of maintenance so small that almost nothing is considered maintenance in the government world. Okay, but I will talk about that and what does include maintenance and what does not. Concepts including trade jock versus a full-blown job order contract. And then how to use your new contract, okay? So why does legal compliance matter? And here's the deal. If you have a trade contract, you likely have a maintenance component and a construction component to your contract, okay? Two different sets of laws govern those two sides of your contract, okay? If you're on the maintenance side, you don't need things like prevailing wage rates, bonding. Whereas over on the construction side, when you're doing an estimate, you do need to include costs for permitting, bonding. You do need to know what the prevailing wage rate schedule is. And I can promise you more than half of the time, they're probably not giving it to you. I know that. I'm guilty of that in a former life. But those are things that you should know to ask for. You know, if they call it a construction project, if there's an engineer involved, if you're permitting, those are some key indicators. Hey, I need to go over to my construction side of my contract, right? Public works contracts may trigger bonding and prevailing wage rates. The deal here, if you've ever been involved, is that these legal mistakes can delay projects. They run up your overhead as well as the client's overhead. You're in court, you're trying to fight to see who's responsible for what. It just creates a headache. So time and materials. If providing construction services, the only method allowed to select contractors for future undefined projects is job order contracting. So basically what they did in 2011 is they took all the construction statutes out of school districts, cities, counties, and they moved them all over to Texas Government Code. And then they said, if you want an on-call contract, your only option from this point forward is job order contracting. Make sense? They did not list time and materials as a second on-call option. We call it IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. And basically what that means to you is that when you responded to a Choice Partners contract, we did not have a project-specific scope of work, right? What we did is we named 4 price books. We allowed you to bid a coefficient against the ones you wanted, and you didn't bid a coefficient against the ones you didn't want. And now, when one of our members calls you for a quote, you will use that price book and the pricing in it, and then apply your discount or your increase. And that's how you get to that legally bid pricing. Make sense? It's IDIQ, no defined scope of work. There was no engineered drawings when we bid this. So what is job order contracting? Definition's a little bit different if you work with universities. They do not have the word maintenance in their definition. But for every other type of governmental entity, it's a procurement method used for maintenance, repair, alteration, renovation, remediation, or minor construction, right? When the work is of a reoccurring nature, but the delivery times, types, and quantities of work are indefinite, okay? They didn't know about their projects at the time we did our contract. Falls under IDIQ. Reoccurring nature has not been defined. That could be once every 20 years, once every 30 years, okay? But what to notice here is that it does cover maintenance and construction. So something that you should be aware of is there are certain clients out there, they don't care if it's maintenance or construction. They want you to follow the construction side because they know they're covered if they make the wrong decision. Does that make sense? There's only a few of them out there. and they're mostly school districts that I see doing it right now. I don't want to name any names, but I do see this happening some on the school district side. They don't feel comfortable making the decision if it should be time and material or construction. And so they just go the construction route because that protects both sides. So these are the factors to consider for construction. Most of case law and other opinions, like Attorney General opinions, reference back to this OSHA letter that was written back in 2003. Okay, and basically what they said is that governmental entities have to take 3 factors into consideration and make the determination as to whether or not the project is construction or maintenance. So the first one is like for like. And as a vendor, that's probably something that y'all say regularly. We replaced a 300-ton train chiller with a new 300-ton train chiller. It's like for like, it must be maintenance. Except that it was actually like for like was defined as not new or upgraded. Okay, so the deal there is the train chiller today the same efficiencies and technology as the train chiller 25, 30 years ago? No. Does it exceed $8,000 in its mechanical, electrical, and require engineering services? Yes. Are you maintaining the existing equipment in the state it was designed? No. You're replacing it with new equipment. Okay, so if you were working on an AC unit and you were replacing a contactor or a belt, that would fall under maintenance. When that AC unit hits into life and you are replacing it, and now you have to meet new energy codes, and there's test and balance codes, and you got to bring it up to the new building codes, like tying in drain lines, upgrading disconnects. That's construction. Kind of making sense? I know. Construction definition in the government world is very different than in the private sector. Scale and complexity of the project. And a city actually got hit with this. They were repainting a bridge. Sounds like maintenance. We're using the same paint, we're going with the same colors, we're just maintaining what's existing. But the scale and complexity of that project was very large because they had to make sure that they weren't overspraying everything around. There was fall issues that they had to do. They had cars going underneath the bridge that, there was a lot of safety aspects. They considered it construction. And the physical size of the object being worked on. And I like to pick on roofers for this. If you have, your client has a 10 by 10 shed that they keep their lawn equipment in, and they had a couple of shingles blow off, and you're going to go add a couple of shingles or half a side of that little storage area. That might fall under maintenance. You're going back with the same shingles. The scope and complexity, that's low, and the physical size is small. But now I'm going to use that exact same example on a 500,000 square foot high school. My physical size just got much greater. My scope and complexity got much greater, right? Because I have penetrations, I have curbs I have to mop in, right? I need to make sure it's sloped properly. I need to make sure I prep it properly, depending on what type of roofing system you're going back with. It can be the exact same roofing system, but half of a 500,000 square foot high school is not. The complexity is so much greater, it falls under construction. Just so you're aware, the HVAC stuff, the roofing stuff, that's all former case law. That's already been defined as construction. Typically, nobody proactively monitors it. And this is just an FYI. If it's federal funds, they'll look at it. Or if there becomes a legal issue, such as a subcontractor doesn't get paid and they go back to your client and ask for their payment bond. And you gave them a time and material quote with no bonds. Okay, understand, I I don't know which trades we have online. I don't know exactly all the trades we have in this room. But even if you're not working with the maintenance or construction project, what you're doing may still fall under construction. And we actually learned this through a lawsuit. Who remembers, and actually we went through it again a second time in COVID, but the BYOD initiative, bring your own device. And all the K through 12 school districts wanted to upgrade their wireless infrastructure and put a handheld wireless device in every kid's hand. Okay, what happened is the school district said, that's a technology project, that's not a construction project. And they failed to get bonds. A subcontractor actually did not get paid and it went to court. And the judge said, you're upgrading your wireless infrastructure. You're providing new cabling, scale and complexity. You're doing it district-wide. Physical size, obviously very large. It's district-wide. Y'all are in construction. And since you did not pay to get the payment bond, you stand in place of the surety. So that technology department had to go back to their board of directors and let them know that they had to pay for that project a second time because they had already paid the general contractor in full. Yep. That's why these things are important. Same with prevailing wage rates. If they're supposed to give you prevailing wage rates and they didn't, and you're not paying your employees the prevailing wage, and one of them finds out and they go to the school board meeting and say, hey, I didn't get paid the prevailing wage, school district stands in place and they have to pay the difference. Okay. Nobody likes those situations. They do happen, and they happen more regularly than you would believe. They don't make the news like a lot of the other stuff for some reason. To understand, and this is a little misleading because it doesn't apply to higher ed, but that JOC contract can be used for maintenance. The maintenance, time and material part of your contract or any other contract cannot be used for construction services, at least not legally. It happens. Jeff hit on this earlier, but who truly understands how a cooperative works and that relationship and all those contracts involved? Not really, maybe a little bit. Choice Partners is a department. It's a division. It's like a maintenance division or a technology division. When you go to your clients, I don't know, University of Houston, they have multiple departments, right? They have a curriculum department, a technology department, a maintenance department. Choice Partners is a department of Harris County Department of Ed, which is a county school district. Because we're a governmental entity and we're a county school district, the state of Texas allows us to sign what they call interlocal agreements by and between us and other governmental entities. And all that is an agreement stating that we can use their contracts and they can use our contracts. And what that does is not every governmental entity is having to write every contract for the same thing. They can share with each other. That's what cooperative purchasing basically is. We're sharing contracts. Once we sign the interlocal agreement with them, we find out what those members' needs are. They come and they say, hey, we need this type of service. Do y'all have it? No, you don't have it. Can you get it? And Choice Partners issues RFPs and CSPs for those needs. That's what you responded to, okay? Given that you're sitting in this room, you were truly vetted and truly earned this contract, okay? You met the minimum requirements, and I can't say that about everyone. It's not easy. If you saw our paperwork, it's not easy to get a contract. It's intensive. Once we award that contract, though, you now have access to work with all the members that we have interlocal agreement signed with. If there's a member that doesn't have an interlocal agreement, all they have to do is go to the Choice Partners website, sign up, and the agreement becomes effective upon first signature. So what that means is They can print it off, and then depending on who has signature authority, if they have to take it to their board or just their CFO or their superintendent, someone has to sign it. Once they sign it, you can go to work. You don't have to wait for us to sign it. We still need that copy. We still got to take it to our board, but you don't have to wait for us to take it to our board. Okay, but here's the part that gets a little tricky. How many of you consider the PO the contract? Yeah? Yeah. Do what? It's an element of the contract. That's pretty close. So here's the deal. The statute for job order contracting defines what a contract is, and it is not defined as a PO. Okay? It is a single agreement with both parties' signatures agreeing to the exact same scope of work, terms, and conditions. A PO is typically only signed by one party, not two. So if you go to court and all you have is a PO, you don't have a contract, and that's actually in case law. And the school district lost that case as well. Basically what happened is the school district's argument was that they had a proposal with one party's signature, they added their PO to it with their signature, and that was supposed to be a single document with both party signatures. And the judge ruled against that and said, no, that's two separate documents with two separate parties' terms and conditions and two separate signatures. In statute for job order contracting, so I'm not talking about any of your other types of when you're selling commodities and services. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about job order contracting. When you have that, you have to have a single document with both parties' signatures, or it's not considered a contract. The PO is considered a guarantee to pay. Does that make sense? So it's a little convoluted. They changed it up a little bit for job order contracting. And why is that? So in job order contracting, we did not have a defined set scope of work, right? So what are the prevailing wages? Do you get that in their PO? Are they going to have liquidated damages? What are the payment terms? You know, all those things specific to them, their scope of work, what constitutes a notice to proceed, what is substantial completion, what is final completion, what does their closeout document process look like? All of that needs to be included in a supplemental agreement by and between you and them. Choice Partners and every other cooperative out there that you work with does not know your scope of work. They do not know which clients you're working with. They cannot publish everyone's prevailing wage rate schedule. Okay? That's between you and your client. It is not in the Choice Partners contract. Jobs procured by purchasing cooperatives. The first thing is the job order contracting is the only construction delivery method allowed in Texas. Okay, so for some of my online viewers, there are other states, if you're out of state, that do allow other construction delivery methods. For my viewers that are in Texas, job order contracting is the only one. Okay. Out of state cooperatives, contracts, even if they're a national contract, cannot still be used in Texas. So there are cooperatives out there that have architectural and engineering services. There are cooperatives that have design build contracts. However, the state of Texas does not allow those cooperative contracts to be used within their state. Jobs procured by purchasing cooperatives, big thing there is they don't have to do their own bid. You don't have to work with them for 2 or 3 months and then go talk to purchasing and purchasing say, hey, we got to go put it out on the street, and you lose that project to the low bidder. Okay. They can get one quote. Depending on the funding source and their internal policies, they may get multiple quotes. Okay. FEMA likes to see them get 3 quotes. It only satisfies the procurement requirement, not the contracting requirement. And that's where that supplemental agreement comes in. There's where you can find in statute what they define as a contract for job order contracting. So you don't have to just take my word for it. You can look it up. I provide references in all these slides. Which brings me to, all of these slides are available to you on the Choice Partners website. You go to choicepartners.org, click on the About Us tab, go down to presentations, and then you'll select today's presentation and you can download this, okay? Yes?
What about all those ESCOs, energy saving performance contracts in Texas? Do they tell you they're gonna save you all that money, they do all the engineering and all that? What about those?
All right, so the question is from my online viewers is what about ESCO contracts? Are those legal with cooperative purchasing in Texas? And here's the deal. State of Texas, Texas Government Code 791 for cooperative purchasing states that you cannot procure architectural or engineering services through a cooperative. Okay, actually it says through an interlocal agreement, which includes cooperatives. Attorneys are on both sides of the fence here. The majority of attorneys that represent governmental entities are of the mindset that ESCOs are not legal to be used through a cooperative in Texas because it does involve professional services. Not only that, but it falls under a different section of statute beyond construction, okay? I can tell you that there is at least one cooperative in Texas that I know of that has these contracts. I can tell you that people have used them. And I can also tell you that they are working this legislative session to define it black and white that it's not allowed. We'll just have to see if that bill gets passed or not. But the opinion is they should not be used overall in Texas. You go out to Arizona, they're perfectly fine there. It's legal. You can do anything you want there. In Texas, not so much. I'm going to go into your estimating process a little bit. I do a separate training on ORIS means, how to use it, how to create your first estimate, how to set it up. If you need that, you can request it through your contract manager. I'm not going to do that today. Because that just adds a whole nother hour or so to the training. But it is available to you. There is no cost for it. All you have to do is ask. Every time you get a new estimator, you can ask for another training. There's no cost to you. The only time you ever pay a fee is when you make a sale referencing the contract, okay? That's it. Everything else you ask for, all those resources, they're included in the administrative fee. Your estimate needs to include a contract number. I'm going to tell you, and this happens a lot. This is almost like a heads up. You get called out to a project and they say, hey man, I need a quote. Just give me a quote. And so you give them a quote. They go to purchasing and purchasing says, well, are they on a cooperative? They come back to you and say, hey man, you on a cooperative? And you're like, yeah, we're on Choice Partners, but add 2% to that contract. Or we're on buy board, add 3% to that contract. Well, when you bid to Choice Partners or buy board, did you bid your off the street price plus 2 or 3%? No, you're not following the legal pricing of that contract. In an audit, they could have their money de-obligated and taken back away from them. So then what happens is if you are trying to protect them, then you've got to go back to that price book specified and go line item it all out and apply your coefficient. And what have you done? You've just doubled your work because you've done this estimate twice now. It's best for you to request the procurement method up front. It's $50,000 in the aggregate that they're allowed to spend before they have to have a contract. It's not $50,000 per vendor. It's per commodity code. So they might be working with you, but how many other vendors are they also working with that do the same thing as you, right? They're going to hit the 50,000 almost always nowadays. I mean, what are we at? 9.1 inflation %? You're going to hit the 50,000. You should always reference a contract. If they don't want that contract, then they can tell you. My best advice is ask them up front. How do you want me to price this out? Are we running this through a cooperative? Are we running this through our internal contract with you? Don't assume they're always using the internal contract. Some of their internal contracts have a maximum dollar value, let's say 200,000. And then what happens is when they hit the 200,000, they automatically start throwing all the POs over to a cooperative. But they didn't talk about it with you first. And then you get blindsided with the cooperative fee. And you're obligated to pay because the cooperative contract said that upon acceptance of the PO with the cooperative contract number on it, you accept to pay the fee. Does that make sense? So it's super important to have those conversations up front and establish that procurement method so you're not blindsided. And I can tell you, it happens. It happens a lot more than you would realize. And the good cooperatives will work with you, negotiate with you to try to come up with something amicable because they know you didn't anticipate that cost. But you're on the hook if you accept the PO. It should be a line item assessment using the unit price book. Choice Partners names 4 price books. They have RS Means, which is kind of the industry standard. They have Craftsman National Construction Cost Estimator. It's a cheaper option. It doesn't have as many line items in it. They have Sierra West for those of you doing construction out in California, especially in the K through 12 market, and Xactimate if you're working with an insurance company and they require Xactimate. You're going to have a line item assessment based on that price book, and I'm going to show you what all this looks like here in a minute. You're going to localize it. So all these price books are based on national average, and you're going to go in there and change the settings and select the state you're working in and the city you're working in, and then it's going to increase or decrease that pricing for where the work is happening. And then you're going to apply your legally bid coefficient at the end. And that's either your discount off the price book. So like RS Means, it includes overhead and profit. So it's usually a discount. But if you're using any one of the other 3 price books, there's no overhead and profit included. And so you would actually be increasing the pricing, okay? Coefficient is based on 1.0. If you bid a 1, you agree to the pricing in the price book. $5 switch is a $5 switch. If you bid a 0.90, you're going to discount that $5 switch by 10%. And if you bid a 1.10, you're going to increase the price book's pricing by 10%. And that's how that works. Subcontractor pricing must be estimated using the unit price book. So a lot of times I'll see where there's a roofing project and the roofer line items out all the roofing, but there's a little bit of electrical and a little bit of plumbing. And so they'll want to say plumbing subcontractor, 50,000, electrical subcontractor, 75,000. That's not allowed. Plumbing and electrical are in the construction price books, and you still have to use those line items even if you're subcontracting out. Same with change orders. Change orders also go back to the price book. So here's an example of what a line item estimate could or should look like. I'm going to see if I can make this bigger for y'all. Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. Well, that helps a little bit. Like I said, you can go download this presentation and you can see this a lot better. But some things to note, we have the contract number at the top, the data release. You should always use the most current available at the time they request the quote. Right now, this says 2019 Q2. So if I was reviewing this, I'd send it back to you and I'd say, hey guys, we're in 2022 Q3. I need you to update that. It's got the quantity of each line item, a 12-digit code, okay? Your clients, Choice Partners, we can all go into the program, we can type in that 12-digit code and we can see if you changed any of this pricing, okay? And we do that. For some of our vendors who have been with us for a while, you know, we check once a year typically, and when a member requests it. So we have certain governmental entities that will not issue a PO until we've signed off saying that the pricing follows our contract. And we check pricing regularly. The description is what's included in that line item. If it's not in that description, there's another line item somewhere in that price book. Make sense? Your unit of measure. And then if you're using RS means, you're going to have the total OMP column and the extended total OMP column. Those are the two columns specified in all of Choice Partners contracts. Okay, that basically means that overhead and profit is included in that pricing. So you cannot add additional overhead and profit at the end of your estimate. Make sense? Labor type. This says repair and renovation. There's STD, standard union. There's several out there, but what we're looking for is if that says user. That says user or it has a U in it, we know you manipulated that line in some way. It may be that you changed the description. Maybe you weren't manipulating the pricing, but if you change anything, it's going to red flag it in this column. Data release, again, most recent CCI location. And this is where I'm talking about localizing the pricing, okay? So that you understand, it's based off the first 3 digits of the zip code. So I'm going to use the example of Galveston, okay? Galveston is 775. If I go into RS means it says Galveston 775. But if I go work in LaPorte, they're also 775. I'm still going to use Galveston 775. If you go to Baytown, they're also 775. I'm still going to use Galveston 775. The only thing that truly matters is those first 3 digits match their zip code. Make sense? Clear as mud. The notes section is where you should add your changes. Okay? So if instead of changing the description, if you're providing something a little bit different than that description, put it in the notes. It won't red flag it in the notes. Okay? You can show your calculations. You know, if you have waste factors, maybe you're doing 3 quotes of paint on a 10 by 10 wall. So you say 10 by 10 equals 100 times 3 coats equals 300 square feet, right? Once you get to the bottom is the subtotal. You'll then apply your coefficient, which is your discount, and it'll reduce that price. As Choice Partners mentioned before, this is not to exceed pricing. So you may have lower pricing negotiated with some of these clients, and they still want you to honor that pricing. They just don't want to go out and bid again. You can still honor that pricing and give them a lower price and discount it. Hold on one second. But you can't ever give a higher price. Now, with this discount, you always need to put a condition on it, such as project-specific discount, discount good for 30 days, something, because if not, you could be tied into giving them that discount indefinitely under that contract. Yes, sir.
So, like you said, we use these at universities and such, so I'm very familiar with RSME. However, typically when I download it, there's 2 options. I could do the Excel version, which I'm assuming is what you're asking me to download, so I can put any additional notes on the far right column, and then I PDF and send it off to you. However, there's another option on RSME that you can download everything already, your entire quote already PDF and everything, and it comes with the coefficient already added and such. So I just wanted to make sure that you're asking us to download it as an Excel as opposed to as the report.
So basically the question is are we asking y'all to download the estimate as Excel? And the answer is no, but we are asking you to provide all of this information. And most of the reports that RS Means has pre-generated
Has all that.
does not have all that. Now, if you're using 4Clicks or some other estimating software with RS Means pricing, it does. But a lot of RS Means pre-generated reports leave out the city cost index. Some of them leave out the labor type. They don't include all the lines. You
Okay.
can't see everything.
Okay, so which is why I see the Excel form of it as opposed to the.
Yes,
generated
because what I would have to do is go in there and generate a custom report to get all of this in it. And that's extremely complicated. I'm not going to ask you to do that in Job Order Contracting 101.
Okay.
But there are programs out there that do include all the information, such as 4Clicks, CostWorks. So it just depends on the estimating software you're using with the RSMeans pricing. Man, my battery's already dying. I just replaced these. But yeah, just to summarize what I said, it doesn't have to be in Excel as long as it provides the information you saw on that screen. If the program you're using has a report that gives us all that, you're more than welcome to use that. Yes, sir.
So when we send out a proposal for choice partners, does it always have to be on that spreadsheet? Is that our obligation?
Okay, so the question is from our online viewers is it an obligation to always provide an estimate in this format when using Choice Partners contract? And the answer is going to be, it depends. Many of your contracts have a time and material maintenance aspect to it. If you're doing maintenance and you're not truly doing construction, you're not required to provide this as a backup. If you are doing construction and your client has told you they want it as construction, our contract states that this is supposed to be provided as a backup with every quote. I can tell you, not everybody's going to ask for it. Even if you gave it to them, not everybody's going to know how to read it. But it is a requirement of the contract. And what you need to know is that if you do not provide it to them and they send it to us and all it is a lump sum price, we tell them it doesn't comply with our contract. And then we have to get with you and have you back it into RSMeans and hope that the number you gave them will back into RSMeans. Does that make sense? So once they ask for it, you have to be able to produce it, and you have to be able to produce it quickly, like 48 hours, not 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. If you were awarded one of these contracts, you should have a subscription to this software. Okay. You don't want to wait for them to ask for RSMeans, and then now you're trying to scramble to figure out which version of the software you need, and you're trying to figure out how to use it, because you will be 2 to 3 week turnaround then. And most members aren't happy with that. None of the ones I've worked with. Review the JOC quote. This is what Choice Partners will review for the members. They will also review it for you if you ask. So if you are going to go in there, you've never played an RSMeans, you're going to generate your own estimate, maybe an old project you did, and you're going to recreate it. You can send it to Choice and they'll review it against the contract and show you where changes need to be made. They'll proactively review it before you send it to your client. And then they will review it if your client sends it to us. So, key takeaway. We typically only review it when someone requests a review, whether it be you or your client. Now, there is an exception to that, and that is that we do try to do a review on every contract once a year. Okay, randomly select a project that's been reported. If there's no project reported, then we use that as consideration as to whether or not we want to renew your contract for the next year. Okay. City cost index location, we're going to check to make sure that you applied that. Coefficient, the correct pricing column, the data release is the most recent. Non-pre-priced line items. Section 6.3 of your contract discusses non-pre-priced line items. Those are items that cannot be found in the unit price book. Okay, it's not line items that were lower than what you wanted to charge. It's not because they specified a specific brand. All line items in here are generic. They apply to all brands. It is truly a non-pre-priced line item. There is nothing in that price book close to what it is you're providing. And there's additional documentation that goes with that. You're supposed to get 3 quotes and then add the markup that you bid to Choice Partners. And so if there's non-pre-priced line items in the book, which is that user we talked about, then they'll ask you for that additional documentation. Attempts to pass through the cooperative fee, that is a part of the coefficient. It's in the definition of coefficient in section 1 of the contract, and it should never be listed as a separate line item. Division 1 is your overhead line items. Choice Partners restricts it, but does not prohibit it. So what does that mean? You can't charge them for your office and your secretary and your cell phone and your computer and your truck, okay? But you can use it for rental equipment. You need a forklift or whatever, a man lift. You can use the rental equipment out of there. You have to provide your own utilities. You know, you got to provide porta potties because they're not going to provide you a restroom. You can use that stuff. That's permissible, but no customary overhead line items. And then adjustment factors, and that basically increases or decreases the line items based on your working conditions. So if you're working in confined spaces, you're working at elevated heights, those are all adjustment factors. They'll increase or decrease the pricing on the line items you check by a percentage. Right now, I see a lot of adjustment factors because there's a labor shortage. Okay, and there's an adjustment factor for that. Additional COVID precautions. A lot of universities have additional COVID precautions right now. There's a line item in there for that, where you can increase it to cover the cost of that. This is the job order. I already covered this, and since we're running out of time, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I am going to talk what the difference is between a bid and a quote. To understand, job order contracting was created in the military. They bid it out the same way that we bid it to y'all. And then when the military needed to use it, they reached out to one contractor, said, give me a quote, and they ran with it. In the state of Texas, they require that they get one quote, but they do not limit the number of quotes they can get. Okay, they can get multiple quotes. They can get 3, they can get 15. Jock was not intended for that. But the deal here is that the proposal that you responded to with Choice Partners, formal, sealed, evaluated, taken to the board for approval, that's the bid. They cannot rebid you. They should not ask you to recompete a coefficient ever. But once they have a specific scope of work and they ask you to use your bid pricing, your coefficient in that price book for a proposal, they can request as many of those as they want. Does that make sense? And the big thing there is that a lot of jocks, especially old school jocks, said you couldn't get multiple quotes, that you were recompeting. The state of Texas basically said, we're not recompeting because we're not asking you to change your coefficient. So some final thoughts, make sure and establish that procurement method up front with your client. I cannot tell you how many times they had an internal contract and they just knew that's the way the pricing was going to go. And then purchasing flipped a switch and everybody was caught off guard. Contract number, you want to get that on both the quote and PO. And Choice Partners needs to receive your monthly report. I believe it's due on the 15th of each month. And that's activity that you've been awarded. So there's 2 sections of the report. The lower section is projects that were awarded under the Choice Partners, but they are not 100% complete. Choice Partners collects the data, but they do not send you an invoice. Once it's 100% complete, you have been paid in full. You move it from the bottom half to the top half, and that's how they know to invoice you. If there's any bonds on that project, make sure and include it on the report because you do not pay a fee on the bonds. Those are pass-through costs. Make sense? We charge you if we don't know about it. It's your responsibility to tell us. And the last thing is, I'm not an attorney. If you have any questions, please consult your own attorney. And at this time, we're going to ask you to complete the survey. Let us know what we did good. Let us know what we can improve upon. If you enjoyed this, my name is Stephen Kendrick. If you didn't, my name is Jeff Drury. And on that note, is there any questions? I know that's a lot of information and very overwhelming. And it may take you a minute to process or days. But any questions that I can address?
I've got a quick question. In regards to PMP bonds, is it the member's responsibility to request that, say for instance, like an ISD or what have you, ask for a proposal from the vendor, and does the member have to then say, hey, we need the PMP bond to be supplied, or is that something that has to be done to be in compliance in general?
So the question, because I know our online viewers missed the beginning, but it's basically whose responsibility is it to request and provide the payment and performance bonds? And the answer is that our contract states if it's for construction and a payment bond, it meets the dollar threshold for a payment or performance bond, that you're responsible for providing it. Truthfully speaking, though, your client should be the one saying, hey, we're going construction and this exceeds $25,000, so we need a payment bond. This is exceeding $100,000, I need a performance bond. If it's a municipality or a joint board, their payment bond is at $50,000, not $25,000. So yes, our contract has that language that you're supposed to provide it when you hit those dollar thresholds to protect the member. But if it went to court, ultimately it would fall on them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or anything on the online chat? If you have questions, please type it into the online chat. If not, it was a pleasure. Please complete our survey. That's how we get better. Jeff, you want to tell everybody goodbye?
Goodbye. See you. No. Yeah, I'm the one that if you didn't like his presentation, that's me. But the one thing I want to emphasize is we like standing up here and talking about things and telling you how we can help you. I always like to say, help you help yourselves. How we can help you grow your business and how we can help you get more sales. There's a lot of communications. I was just looking at something this morning. It's called TASBO Forum, Texas Association of School Business Officials. It's a forum, and they have purchasing, or they have, they talk about these ESSER funds, these federal funds and projects, and just all kinds of different topics. And there's another one that's, I think it's TXPA, Texas Public Purchasing Association. These people talk amongst themselves all the time. They will ask about, they're always asking about us compared to other co-ops. There's a lot of co-ops out there. They're always asking about you guys. There's, and we like to obviously promote ourselves or talk great about ourselves or whatever. I was just looking at one this morning. It doesn't matter the contract or what was happening, but a lady asked about using some ESSER funds, which have to be federal funds, and being compliant and things like that. And, she posted it on 8:23 in the morning, and it's probably had 20 or 25 responses. And I mean, some of these guys are responding within 2 or 3 minutes. Oh, I can send you documents. I can send you due diligence. I can send you all the paperwork you guys filled out that they want to look at to make sure it's compliant, whether in Texas or wherever we are, to make sure it's compliant and it does the job and keeps them out of trouble. So we're not just standing up here kind of for just to hear ourselves talk. These things are discussed all the time at conferences, online forums, where there are hundreds, probably thousands of people, whether across Texas or national NIGP. I know a couple of our folks are at NIGP, probably some of the folks that may be online were at NIGP in Boston, National Institute of Government Procurement. So there's a lot of these institutions out there that are wanting to do things right, that need to do things right. They want to keep themselves out of trouble, and they're always looking at us. You guys are an extension of us, or we're an extension of you, vice versa. And that's one of the things that we're very, very serious about. That's why we do this on a quarterly basis. And we like to keep you guys informed, and we've had guys like one of the guys here earlier that's been with us since the 80s as a vendor. Some people are like, I have no idea what a co-op is. So there's all different levels of knowledge base and things like that. So with that, I want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for attending, sitting through this and listening. Hopefully it was helpful to you. We're not here to preach. We're only here to help. I mean, you know, we just want to try and help you out and have some right answers, let you know the resources. Stephen, Joanne, Janet, all the various contract managers. Just let us help you help yourselves, and good luck and have a good day.